Hi, it's me, Fe INFP. And I'm wearing my headphones, my old ones from like 15 years ago or something, because my pink ones really only have battery for around an hour, and my trip around the forest and to the grocery store and all of that takes around an hour and a half. So now they die every time that I go this round. So I need to look for new headphones. So if you guys know of any noise cancelling headphones, like, I'll be interested to try them. I want to keep it though in a low budget, so like I want to keep it under $100 if possible. I've been looking at the different models, but I'd be interested to know if you have any tips, because my pink ones are not noise cancelling, and these are not either. These need a cable. I'd rather have Bluetooth so that I can, move freely. But yeah, so please tell me in the comments. Anyway, I went to Culture Night, Stockholm's Culture Night yesterday, and yeah, I was ready to have a good time, and then I ended up having a meltdown. I had a good time anyway, despite that, but I did have a very public meltdown, and the reasons for that are quite obvious now, knowing that I'm autistic, and also I'm an INFP, and that actually leads to certain particularities. What happened is that, first of all, I hadn't slept well the night before because I Skyped my mom until like 2 in the morning, so I slept quite late into the day. But then I had planned also to go with my ISFJ friend and my ENFJ friend. I'll try to not go too much into private details, and also not to be disparaging towards any of my friends, because this wasn't something that really was preventable on their side. I think that I shouldn't have gone together with friends that day. I think I should have gone on my own to the culture night and done all of the things on my own and not together with friends. Even though it would have been fun to meet my friends, I think I need to meet them like separately, doing a calm activity rather than... Culture night is so important for me. Every year Stockholm will have culture night, which is from 6 p.m. until midnight, and it's always around this time of year, around after Easter, and I have to maximize it. I have to do this. So there were 200 places that had open and that had activities around Stockholm, and I had managed to only whittle it down to around 50 things. But I was quite proud of myself for doing that, managing to like cut down on things. I decided, and so I wrote to both my ISFJ friend and my ENFJ friend, here are program points that I'm willing to look at, like, tell me if you're interested in some of them. They were like, yeah, well, we'll see how it goes, and they said, well, maybe we should limit the list even more. So I managed to limit it to 35 points on my list. And I said, well, maybe we could, like, if there's something fun on the way, we could also go to those things. Yeah, so I whittled it down. So I done all this preparation beforehand, and I had certain places that I wanted to go to, but I wasn't like super sure of where to go. But yeah, so that was my planning. As an autistic person, it was important for me to do that planning, but I knew that it wasn't going to go according to plan. So that's okay, things don't go according to plan. But then, and also I'd planned for my ENFJ friend to be late because she has ADHD, and she's always late. And that's okay too, because I'm prepared for that. However, the night started badly because first of all, my ISFJ friend had to go and do some other social thing beforehand, so he was going to be late. And then my ENFJ friend, I tried to call her several times and she didn't answer. And this is unlike her because she does answer when I call. I just hate phone calls, so I'd rather not. But she didn't, so I thought like something must have happened to her. And so I also had to like recalibrate my mind. My ISFJ friend then said that an ESTP friend that we have, not really my best friend, let's just say, but he is a friend of ours, I guess, was going to join us. And I realized I was already feeling the meltdown starting to come, you know, because like I started feeling some kind of buzzing, some kind of stress, you know. There's this kind of feeling that, you know, I wish, like I felt really tired and not great. But yeah, so I decided to stay in line for Avicii. There was a Avicii experience thing that usually cost a lot of money but was free that evening. But the queue was super long. And by the time my friend came, I was already tired. And I'd done this upon myself, you know, it's not anybody else's fault than mine. But I did that because I thought that it would be fun. But yeah, so anyway, we went to the concert house and that was fun, but I started feeling like, you know, we're wasting time. I don't know. My mind was like, we're wasting time. And I wanted to get to like, you know, seeing a concert at the concert hall, and I wanted to go and go to the concert at this church, and I wanted to go to this museum, and I wanted to go to that museum, and it was too much, okay? And it was a lot of people, and there were very long lines to a lot of things. So I started feeling the stress mounting. And, you know, I should have said then and there that, like, I'm not feeling good, I want to go home. But, you know, it's kind of disappointing to have to do that, like, 1 hour into into the night, you know? So, yeah, I continued against my better judgment. But I started crying when we went to the metro, and my friend assumed that it was because ENFJ hadn't come, and it was like, yeah, true, but it's also together with everything else. So I had to cry on the metro, and then we went to this church that was really beautiful, had West Side Story music, wonderful with the music with all the I forget the musical instrument. Anyway, the musical instrument that's in churches. That one with like the keyboard, the piano, but that makes all sorts of sounds. It was really beautiful, and I was glad I could like breathe for 2 seconds. But then we found out that our ESTP friend had come, and I could tell that I wasn't feeling good, and that I wasn't going to be able to manage this. So we meet by a friend that we hadn't seen for a really, really long time. My ISFJ friend starts talking about how gynecology doesn't allow men doctors. And it's like, we've had this conversation before, and it's like, I'm not in the mood to have this conversation right now. And I said so. I said, I'm already on edge. I can't have this conversation right now. And my friend was like, yeah, no, but it's really important to talk about this. And I was like, sure, but not today. And I was like starting to feel the anger come at me, you know? And the reason was that also my ESTP friend is not really, you know, not really a feminist, let's just say. Okay, so I knew that I had 2 men against me, and I felt like it was, I would be at a disadvantage in this argument. So I was like, let's not talk about this today. And he said, okay, well then let's go to a new place. And he lets my ESTP friend choose where to go. And we happened to be next to the army museum. And I hate everything that has to do with guns and the army. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll go, you know. but I did look happy about it, and I was, I was visibly disinterested in the whole place. And so obviously I was destroying the mood, but it was like, so I said, I'd like to go and see something else. And they were like, yeah, but now it was his turn to choose something, and because you got to choose the church. And I was like, but I want to do my own things, and I said, I can go on a tour and go see my own things, and you guys can do your own things if you want to. And my ISFJ friend was like, no, you see, I hate this about you. And he was like, I hate when people don't follow the group and don't compromise. And he was like, we need to do things that interest different people, and you can't just go off on your own and do your own thing. And I said, well, I'm going home. And he was like, go home. And so I left. I ran out. I walked and walked and walked. And yeah, I walked for about 3 kilometers to get to this certain museum. Tons of people there. I had my loop earplugs in, so I could at least kind of chill in that sense. Also, I could do things at my own pace, and so I could calm down a little bit. But I still wasn't calmed down totally, and then I went and walked 3 kilometers more to the modern museum. And after doing all of that walking and all of that, just getting it out, and I realized I'm actually having tons of fun doing this. I'm having so much fun doing this on my own and not having to deal with anybody else like telling me what I should like and what I should do, and what that I'm not presenting the nice face that I'm supposed to, and that I can just decide to wander off on my own without having to feel guilty about it, and not having anybody forcing me into conversations that I don't want to have. So I was really happy. I went to the Modern Museum, saw lots of stuff. But yeah, it was, it wasn't good that I just stormed off like that and got into a huge argument. But I had to because I was in the middle of a meltdown. And had I stayed longer, I would have probably said something bad, or I would have totally gone into a corner and screamed into a ball or something. I don't know what I would have done, but I needed to get out. So I'm actually proud of myself for leaving the situation, but I shouldn't have gone into that situation in the first place. It's just that I kept having to compromise things. I kept having to accommodate everybody else when I could have a much better experience just being able to do what I want, And I know that my ISFJ friend is self-sacrificing and all that, and really what's the best for us, and is really accommodating and everything. But I think that there's a big difference between FI and FE that is not, you can't reconcile the two. You can't, in my mind, as an INFP with FI, also as an inflexible person, as an autistic person, I will not be able to completely go with a group and be happy. That's not going to happen, And I can pretend, especially if I have planned this beforehand, if I've decided that, okay, the purpose of this night is to socialize with these other people. It's not to go and see these things. However, my perspective was that I wanted to see these things, and I wanted to experience certain culture, and my purpose wasn't to do all this socializing thing, and my purpose wasn't to to do activities that other people had chosen for me, you know. And I felt, I already felt dysregulated, so of course it was going to lead to a meltdown. So it wasn't something that either me nor my friend or anybody else could have stopped. However, I think that it's important to understand that there's a difference. It's not my fault that I'm inflexible and that I dislike change and that it's part of my autism. And I tried to accommodate. I tried to, not to adapt myself to the situation. I tried doing that, but I couldn't do it. I didn't have the capacity to do it in the long run. So it wasn't that I was intentionally trying to destroy the atmosphere. The other thing is also that I'm an INFP, and so I lead with Fi, and he leads with Si, but he has Fe as his secondary function. And for him, it's like the worst sacrilege to like go against the grain, to do your own thing outside of the group is destroying the harmony, when really it didn't have to. If I had gone and been able to like go to one museum while they went to another one, we could have reconnected again, and I could have had a pleasant time. If I felt like I could trust these people to respect my choices of doing certain things away from them, then I would have been much more regulated, and I would have been able to trust, and be able to chill out a bit, but I couldn't, because these people wanted me to be in their group at all costs, at the cost of my own, my own feelings. And yes, so I can seem unreasonable and difficult to be around, and antisocial and all that, but that is part of who I am. Okay, like I'm not a pleasant person. I can be pleasant, but it's not like I will erase myself for somebody else. That goes against everything that I am. There are people who are better at that than me, and those people are the Fe users, and they're the people who are not autistic. And yeah, so I'm not trying to justify the meltdown that I have, but it does explain why I had the meltdown. And also it explained why I left rather than staying, because leaving was the better option out of two bad options. So I left, and then I walked around, went to those museums, saw some pretty interesting exhibits. One of them was about witches, and one of them was about childbirth, and one of them was like the different modern museum. It was one about the sky and the earth, and then I saw a group. I happened upon like a group of people playing banjo and like some American music. I don't know the different kinds of what are they called? Bluegrass. I think it's bluegrass. Yeah, and I stumbled upon some people who were like swallowing fire, and I saw all sorts of fun stuff, which I would have missed, so I don't regret that. I do regret that I had to do things so dramatically, but yeah, which I would have avoided had I been able to do this on my own. It's just, yeah. And it ends up, what happened to my ENFJ friend was that she had been extremely sick, and that she asked, like she apologized, and I said, okay, I forgive you, you know, and we could kind of laugh together about how silly we both are, because I think that our neurodivergence makes us, you know, sometimes act in silly ways that kind of destroys our relationships. But like, I think we need to give ourselves some grace, you know, because we couldn't have done it differently, you know. It's easy to be smart afterwards, after the fact, but when it's happening, you can't really. I felt trapped, that's the thing, is that I didn't know like what to do to signal to my friends that I needed to go. And so I said certain things, but to hint at me having to take a pause or something. But yeah, I didn't feel like I was being clear enough, and I wasn't listened to, so that's why it built up so much. I'm glad I had the option. I had given myself the option to go back home if something went wrong. So that's what I did. Anyway, so I've had several videos before about Fi versus Fe and my beef with Fe and all that. And yeah, that is one of my beefs with Fe, is that, yeah, I'm not trying to be a disruption. It's just that in order for me to thrive, to be who I am, and to, you know, not go into a state of panic, I need to do certain things on my own. I need to be, you know, people need to respect that I am not going to be able to fit into their group in the way that they'd like me to be. And I need people to, you know, I should be able to come along if I want to, and they should be able to come along with me if they want to. But we shouldn't be forcing each other to go to places that we don't want to go to. And also, you know, I'd also warned about that I really needed to follow the program, which, yeah, was not listened to. I think that would have also helped things a bit if, you know, people knew that I had this program that I had to follow, you know. And it wasn't just me being stressed, it was that I like having that plan to follow, because that plan allows me to then go and do spontaneous things like meeting those people who are playing the banjo, you know. So yes, I am inflexible in my thoughts. I dislike change. I have these things that tick me off, you know, but I can work against them, but I need to give myself, you know, some time. I need to give myself some grace and some, you know, time to take it easy and time to go at my own pace. So yeah, that's what I had to say for today. I hope that nobody in my real life really looks at this video, but like, I don't want to say anything disparaging about my ISFJ friend. I really do love him, and I think that he's a wonderful friend and superly accommodating to me. And, you know, even ESTP friend I don't really like that much. I mean, I like certain aspects about him, you know, and I still want to be friends with this guy. But, yeah, I think that it was important to take up this example to It's not just for me to vent, but also because I think that it's not only me who has this mindset. I think that autistic people might have been in a similar situation, and INFPs might have been in a similar situation. So it fits my channel, let's just say. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Bye.